What's going on, everybody? Ryan's Baseball Roundup, back with another video. In today's video, we're going to be reacting to my 2021 playoff predictions. Subscribe to the channel if you're new, hit the like button if you enjoy these type of videos, and let's get straight into the video. So here we have my 2021 predictions for every playoff series. Central White Sox and AL East Yankees. So the first matchup we have in the AL wildcard game is Twins versus Rays, which means we have the Astros not making the playoffs. This is probably one of my worst predictions of the season, considering the Astros went on to almost win the World Series. I just thought for some reason that the A's and their Moneyball thing was going to work, because it usually does, but I underestimated the Astros offense. They had Michael Brantley go off. Carlos Correa is always good. Jose Altuve was good. Yuli Gurriel was really good also. So their whole offense overall just really came together. I mean, they just have spotty pitching, but their pitching, they still had enough pitching to get away with it. They had Framber Valdez pitch solid. I mean, they didn't even have Verlander, and they still made the World Series. So out of Twins versus Rays, I have the Twins winning that wild card game. This is just because I trust Kenta Maeda more than Tyler Glasnow. Because last year in the playoffs, Tyler Glasnow did not do well. So I think that the pitching of Kenta Maeda would overpower the Rays' offense. Now the Twins were one of the bigger disappointments in baseball, so this doesn't look that good. But I'm at least happy with the fact that I had the Rays making the playoffs, because I at least got one playoff team right. Because I feel like guessing the playoff teams is even harder than guessing the regular season teams, because sometimes in playoffs there's just uncertain heroes that you didn't expect to do good. You look at David Freese in the 2011 playoffs, or Howie Kendrick for the Nationals. There's always going to be a player who he does better in the playoffs than he does in the regular season, and it's unexpected. Now for the NL wildcard game, I have Braves versus Padres, which means I have the Cardinals not making the playoffs. And out of Braves versus Padres, I have the Padres winning that matchup. This is because the Padres have a very stacked offense, and I don't really trust the Braves bullpen after their bullpen collapsing in the playoffs against the Dodgers last year, and they also lost Mark Melancon. So the next series. So I think I was pretty happy with the fact that I even got the Braves. Obviously, the Padres one isn't good, but I definitely underestimated the Braves bullpen because I just didn't trust Will Smith, but he really stepped up in the playoffs. I mean, their bullpen was good in the playoffs. Luke Jackson struggled in the World Series, but Tyler Matzik, Will Smith, they all held it down. So far I've gotten two teams that made the playoffs right and two of them wrong. I got the Braves and the Rays, and then the ones I got wrong were the Padres and the Twins. So we're 2 for 4. We have is the ALDS, which is White Sox versus Twins, and I have the White Sox winning this one because I think they have a very well-balanced team. They have a solid 1-2 punch in their rotation. They have a good offense and a good bullpen. I gave them the win over the Twins because I like their bullpen better than I like the Twins' bullpen. This one actually isn't that bad, because if I had just flip-flopped out the Twins for the Astros, then I would have had that series right. I mean, I said I like their bullpen, which I still do, but even going into last season, after bullpen was even better than it was when I made this video, because this was before they even had Craig Kimbrell. I think that the White Sox, a lot of people thought they maybe should have beat the Astros, but they didn't. So I at least got another playoff team right. So I got 3 so far. The next series we have for the LDS is Yankees versus A's. I have the Yankees winning this series because the A's starting pitching is not selling me. I like the Yankees starting pitching better. When you look at they're going to have Severino coming back. They got Kluber. They got Cole. They got Tyone. So I have the Yankees. And then for this is not that good because I definitely overestimated the Yankees starting rotation, because not only did they not make it to the ALDS, they lost in the wild card game to the Red Sox. And they're really I oversold their starting rotation looking back on it, because they only had one guy who you really want to put the ball in his hands in an important game season's on the line. You want to give the ball to him, and that was Garrett Cole. And their season was on the line. They gave the ball to him, and the Red Sox beat him up pretty good. So I definitely oversold the Yankees rotation in this video. NLDS, I have Brewers versus Mets, and I have the Brewers winning this one because their team reminds me a lot of the 2014-15 Kansas City Royals, like a really good bullpen because those Kansas City Royals, they had Kelvin Herrera, Wade Davis, and Greg Holland, and the Brewers 1-2-3 punch in the bullpen is Josh Hader, Devin Williams, and Bruce Sutter. So I like their bullpen, and I think their bullpen is going to overpower that Mets lineup. So I have the Brewers moving on to the NLCS. So I definitely think that the Brewers could have made it way farther in the playoffs than getting first rounded by the Braves if Devin Williams hadn't broken his hand. Because I still think that their bullpen would have played well in the playoffs if they were at full strength. But at least I got the Brewers in the playoffs right, and then the Mets are wrong. So I got 4 of 7 or 8, I think, right at this point. And then for the next NLDS series, the long-awaited matchup of Dodgers versus Padres. This is what most National League fans are hoping for. I have the Dodgers winning just because their team's just so overpowered. When you look at Bellinger, Turner, and all of those guys, and then in the rotation, you still have Kershaw, Buehler, David Price, Urias. I have the Dodgers winning. So then for the ALCS, I have. I had the Dodgers winning, which is obviously good because the Padres were way worse than the Dodgers and they didn't even make the playoffs. So I did at least get right that the Dodgers would end up in the NLCS. I just didn't get the team they would face right. White Sox versus Yankees, and I have the White Sox winning because I trust their bullpen more, and I think it's going to come down to the bullpens. So I have the White Sox moving on to the World Series. And then for the NLCS, this was a tough one. It's Dodgers versus Brewers. For me, this is closer than you would think. You would think the Dodgers would just run away with this one, but that Brewers bullpen, it's for me it's the best in the major leagues. But I still have the Dodgers just narrowly edging them out in this series because you just really can't beat the Dodgers. They have such a good offense, such a good rotation, and a pretty good bullpen. So the World Series matchup we have is Dodgers versus White Sox. I have the Dodgers winning the World Series just because unless there's a major injury, their rotation is the best in baseball for me. When you look at Trevor Bauer, Kershaw, Buehler, Urias, Dustin May, that's just filthy for me. I said that the Dodgers should win the World Series unless any major injury happens, which is kind of ironic because Dustin May had Tommy John surgery, which by no means was he their best pitcher going into the year, but that was a kind of a reason why it's towards the end of the year they had to trade for Max Scherzer because their starting pitching depth was thin, and then also Trevor Bauer had the domestic violence stuff, so they did definitely lose some pitchers in the rotation. So those are my predictions. So overall, I think my predictions weren't that great for the playoffs. I think my regular season ones were better, but like I said, I do think the playoffs is a little bit harder to predict than the regular season because there's always one hitter who's just going to step it up and take that team to the next level who you didn't even think was going to do that great. So the Dodgers, I had the Dodgers winning the World Series. Obviously that didn't happen, but that was my reaction to the video. Thank you all for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed. This has been Ryan's Baseball Roundup.